intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey Star Trek League of Men fans, I want to show you a video today to really try to encourage you and also hopefully entertain you, maybe a little bit, but more than anything, encourage you to know that you can do better than you might think you can, because this game's always trying to make you feel like everything's difficult. So if you take the time, pace yourself, you might be able to pull off something really neat. So in this video, just like the title says, I'm going to show you a player in G4, not a level 50 or anything, who's able to beat the elite solo waves. You might go, Rev, what happened to the Wrath of Khan content? Don't worry, we're still doing that, but I think it's good to take a step back. One, appreciate what players are able to accomplish in the game, and two, use it as a teaching tool to see what you can do to follow suit. So, got the video right here. We're going to hit the play button. Let it roll through, but we have this whole video. I asked them to make it to prove that, yes, they are level 46, and yes, they're going to manage it. So let's take a look at the crews they're doing. You see they have their Pylum right here running a Janeway dot combo. Then we got Strange New Worlds with Section 31 Giorgio here on a Coronar. These are beefy ships, by the way. I'm not saying they're small. And then NSCA Protector running the Anorax crew. So there are your three, all three crews there. We can kind of go into them a little bit more in depth towards the end of the video, but I want to play it in full so that you can see it and see going through each of the three different waves. And again, I do want to really stress that these aren't small ships for level 46. This is a player that's taken the time to really do a lot of work. You can even see they have maxed out the Syndicate. So this isn't oh, everybody's going to pull this off. If obviously you sat at 46 and decided to get strong, you could. But I want to use this particularly because G4 is currently the largest group of players in the game. So using it as a tool to teach you how to do things, I think is very, very good. So let's start with the basics. Now, the order of how this goes is going to be the exact same. Like obviously, if you've done these, you know where the hostiles are going to spawn from. We have that hostile spawning map for those who haven't checked it before. But as you see, they're going to take out the closest ones first, and they're going to be using the triangle as much as possible to try and, maintain their level of success. You see right there getting the Pylum to go after the one on the bottom. Now, do I think that every 45/46 can replicate this? Obviously not. But I do want you to pay attention to number one, it's memorizing where these spawn, because timing is so key when it comes to the solo waves, and you're going to see that here. You've got to have the timing down, knowing where these are going to spawn, especially when it comes to things like the Reavers, because a big pro tip that not many people really catch on to is actually you want to let some things through at various points. Think of it this way. You've got 3 whole healths, but you've got 2 freebies in that. So really you only need to survive with 1 and at least have one of your ships up and going. So there are times where letting it go through can be a wise decision. Now, he had a little bit of a misstep here where he had the wrong ship in a spot, but was able to recover from it pretty quickly. And they do have the Kashar artifact. For those that do not know or remember the Kashar artifact, here we'll freeze it on the screen real quick. The Kashar artifact can be earned 100% free to play if you're an alliance in Masters League. And even though it at times has been a problematic item in terms of bugging out and freezing, it also can be very, very instrumental in saving you precious time when it comes to this mechanic right here. So it is useful in waves. Just bear in mind that when it breaks, it will lead to a high level of frustration. Okay, I'm just letting you know ahead of time. But let's keep it going. You see, we're going to use the queuing up attacks, and we got one almost sneaking through here. We got a little bit of a, oh no, better hurry it up moment. Now this is where Dane below decks can become very, very vital and important for that speed boost. If you have Dane below decks, that can save you these kind of like moments of discomfort. For sourcing a Dane, there are a couple different ways you can do it, but having him below decks, that impulse boost can be very, very handy for you G4 players. And if you're watching G5 players as well, just be very careful. Remember, you gotta watch the screen. Don't let them sneak through. But again, knowing where things are going to spawn is really going to help you out. And that's when we have that link in the video where we went through every single spawn location for the Elite Solo Waves. But we can also provide that here on the screen. So we're into the final wave. And again, the big thing here is remembering how powerful these things jump up. Remember, we talked about before, Reavers and Prowlers. The Prowlers are easy to handle. The Reavers will take you down. So you have to be very careful about when you go after them. But again, I really want to stress this, whether it's a 3-wave G4 or a 5-wave G5 and G6, you've got freebies here, right? You don't have to destroy everything. You just have to make sure that one of your ships survive, just one, right? And you got to take down their ship. So what are they doing here? They're devoting all 3 ships to one hostile. Say the other 2 Reavers, we'll let those through. We don't really care about the other 2 Reavers. We need to get the shields down and try to destroy the 3rd Reaver. And if the other 2 goes through, we're going to end up with 1. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can see just barely the Pylum survives enough to beat that final Reaver And that's going to allow them to win this solo. Now, again, I really want to stress, we're going to go everything piece by piece here. Yes, this is a very, very strong player for level 46, but the key is this happened. And everybody here probably wants those same goodies. So let's go over what they had, why it worked, and how you can try to replicate that yourself. Not necessarily being a level 46, but especially our level 50 players who are trying to get this to get these rewards. I want to show you how you can make it happen. So let's talk about who this player is, what power they are, and where that ranks them around the game. So number one, because I don't want this to come off as a disingenuous thing, like, oh, everybody level 46 is going to pull this off right after watching this video. That's not the case. Because as you saw, this player's 140 million overall power. What does that end up meaning? Well, that puts him in the top 5 of all level 46s in the game. And in fact, the strongest player at level 46 is 165 million power, so a good bit stronger. That's iFixit over on server 44, I believe. So shout out to them for being the strongest 46 in the game as of the day of this video. But let's take a look at what this player has. And my goal is, if you're somewhere in the 46 to 53 range, you can take all this and start beating these GS elites, or these solo elites. Whether you have the GS31 or not, the GS31 definitely can help down the road. But like if you're a level 50 player, a maxed Pylum is very doable thanks to the GS31, the Coronar Eviscerator, your Bajor loop. There's more ways to get ship parts, and that is becoming easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a process. But again, everything that you saw here was attainable at 46. So let's take a look more into what we're looking at here. So we had a max Pylum, crewing, Janeway, Doc, E-Data. Now, these are all, again, obtainable officers. Janeway, for example, the Voyager crew themselves have gotten much easier to grab in the X-Borg faction, if you haven't already. As far as the FTs and CTs, you got the Agony Booth, and then you've got the Chronophage. Again, these are obtainable different sources here in the game. We'll try to put this on the screen, but we don't get stuck too much. But for a Pylum, this is doable in the range. Again, not expecting everybody level 46 to do this, but these are achievable numbers. Next up is a tier 11 Coronar, so no, not max, but quite strong. And the PvP FT kind of don't really matter here. Yes, it gives you a whole health bonus, but not really contributing to fighting waves. And then it has the loot, which again, not really super helpful here. But the real thing is the crew. So you got Strange New Worlds and Section 31 Giorgio. Now this crew might be one of the more difficult ones for people to have depending on who all you've sourced. Keep in mind that if you have Section 31 Giorgio, you can also put quasi below decks, like say on the Pylum, but you don't want to put them on the same boat. Like if you got a Coronar for like this one, you don't put Section 31 Giorgio up top and quasi below decks. I mean, if you have Apex Shred, you want to diversify that and put it on multiple boats. That's what I would recommend. But again, it's focusing on what this player has and what they're using. As far as their below decks, a lot of officers that we've talked about before, Pelium, Picard, Hugh, so that you can get those repairs generated. Tendi, very, very classic one, Mazriad, Vael. These are all things that have good sourcing in the game today. So again, the whole point of this video is to help you do better so that you can get those good rewards to then unlock things faster. And it's just showing you that it's possible, but it will take work to get there. But that was ship number 3 with the Coronar. And then the third ship, which many of you might change and replace by having, the GS31 by the time you watch this video, or maybe it's down the road, is using the NSEA at tier 5, which again is not a super strong ship, but it's a solid third. And as far as crewing goes, you see they've got the Metreon Cascade, or sorry, as FTCT goes, you see they got the Metreon Cascade, but they're running Anorax, Beverly Crusher, and Suitor. So you got synergization there, which doesn't really matter because you're there for Anorax's Apex Barrier ability. You got Suitor giving you a little bit of that regen. And then, last but certainly not least, you've got Beverly Crusher. Now, below decks, again, this is the third ship, so we're diversifying it a little bit. You saw that Apex Shred, that's quasi. Now, I actually believe that the weakest leg of this group is the NSEA. So if you were to say, hey, I can do something better, then great example. I talk about level 50, so I want to be encouraged by this. That Tribune, that Enterprise A, that Hegta, definitely probably going to be better here, especially if you've tiered up, or the NSEA itself, once you've tiered up a little bit, would be better here. But the big key is all the items that were used to get this, right? And the good news is a lot of this is all free to play stuff. It's not, some mythical thing that's expensive. The great thing about G4 in the game, again, I'm making this in the middle of 2025, is G4 has become very, very free to play friendly. It's just more about knowing when to direct your time and efforts into a certain area to get certain things. For example, those Voyager officers. But There's a lot here, man. It really is. And I don't want to understate how big of an accomplishment this is, but also how it is still obtainable. And it's just really knowing, like, for example, going after the chronophage, sourcing, going after the Voyager officers, and knowing their sourcings. And this is part of the video, to have these things on the screen so you can see them and then try to chase after them yourselves to get better. For example, the NX-02 Columbia skin is a fantastic way to drastically improve the amount of Voyager officers you're obtaining, to max out that EMH dock, to max out Janeway. So these are all little tips I really want you to pay attention to. Hopefully you've been taking notes of the things on the screen, and congratulations to the person who was able to do this first level 46 that I was able to find to beat the level 45 waves, the elite ones at that. Very impressive. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for those Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek Fleet Command video, and I'm out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.